Navigating your 20s. I'm your host, Jess Hugo, and I am so excited to have you here. I'm an online personal trainer and nutritionist, but honestly, underneath it all, I am just a girl who is struggling, thriving, and surviving somehow all at once. So if this is you, you are not alone. If you want all the juicy tea on what it's like to be a girl navigating her 20s, I'm talking relationships, health, fitness, social life, work, and everything in between, then you're in the right place.
I do not mean to alarm you, but we're a few days out from 6 months into 2025. Is that not just fucking insane? Lately, I've been doing so much reflecting on, have I been on track with my goals? Am I still actually aligned with the goals that I set? Because sometimes the goals that we actually set for the year, we think that's our desire and we think that's what we want. And then we realize that our life has other plans and we go a completely different way. And sometimes we can still really have those plans in the back of our mind, but we're struggling to stick to them. And, you know, I want to do a mid-year check-in. How are you going with your New Year's resolutions? Where are you at with all of it? Because, you know, we're halfway through the year now and I'm going to call you forward. Where are you going? What are you putting your energy into? Because I know in January you came into the year with big fuck yeah energy. I know you had those massive goals and I talked about them myself. If you missed them, I set all my goals. I made a vision board and I made a whole episode on it about setting my goals for the years and reflecting on how we're actually going to make sure we stay on track, how we don't fall off track, fall behind, go back into old patterns and routines and habits. And, you know, this isn't like a shamey episode. This isn't like, oh my God, get on your shit. No, I want you to reevaluate if those goals even mean anything to you, because I've told you guys before, I've set goals and then I've completely changed my mind and I'm like, oh, I don't even want that anymore. And it's like, okay, so what goals did you actually set? Let's do a recap for me for a minute. I freaked out the other day because I was like, oh my God, I said that 2025 was the year of taking risks, and valid, I've done some risk-taking things, but in the same breath, I haven't done anything that crazy. I haven't done anything that wild. I feel like the last couple of months I was just kind of like staying the same in my comfort zone, which there's nothing wrong with being in your comfort zone, but I was very much remaining in the day-to-day tasks and not pushing to do anything that scares me or puts me outside my comfort zone. Oh, Lexi has joined us. Don't sit on the mic, bestie. Gosh, if you're watching the video... If you're watching the video, she just jumped out of nowhere. She wants to know how she can get on her goals. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for that. God, girl, now I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yeah, I haven't really been taking any risks or doing anything crazy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in the same sense, I said that this year would be the year of taking risks, and I have to get back into that energy and go back into what I've said. So I want to remind you of some things. I basically was journaling out loud to myself, and I was like, okay, where has this kind of gone wrong? Because I still want to be in that risk-taking era. Where am I like falling off a little bit? And so I said some things out loud. What did I actually want in January? What did I say I wanted? And again, we talk a lot on this, what we say we want versus what we actually want. But what did I say I wanted in January? Because I know that I might have done a lot of talking about what I wanted, but how have I embodied that? And I remember, as I said, I had a 90-day plan that I was sticking to, which I did stick to, and I am still shy of achieving. So it didn't work in the 90 days, which is absolutely completely okay. I'm pretty damn close. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm really happy with how I've elevated in areas. So I could say that what I did want in January, I have done well. Another thing I saw, like the reason I thought on this, I guess, and what I saw lots of people talking about was, you know how January 4th, it was January 4th this year was the Monday. Everyone was like, okay, oh my gosh, this girl, you comfy? Everyone was like, okay, I'm leaning in, I'm doing 75 hard. And it's like, whoa, how do you go from 0 to 100? How do you actually decide, okay, I'm doing that thing, right? And it's like, okay, what did I want in January and why? And then moving on, because don't get all like caught up in it and swept up in it, because you could say, well, in January I set the goal to lose 5 to 10 kilos. Now we're 6 months into the year, I've gained weight, I didn't stick to my goals, I have let myself go. Like, insert the shamey things you probably say to yourself. And it's like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to just call out one thing we did this week, or that we can do this week, that is just going to push us that little bit further towards working towards our goals, that's actually going to make you proud of yourself and feeling good and back into feeling spark for your goals. So for example, if let's go down the weight loss example, if you set your goal and you wanted to lose 5 to 10 kilos and you might feel that it's falling off track, how can you do something little this week to get back on track? Maybe you can potentially go for a walk with a friend. For example, actually, in 3 days, I am hosting a community hot girl walk. It is open to everyone. You don't have to be a client. You can be a friend of a client. You can be a complete stranger, which I know is scary, but you do not need to have been a part of anything inside my world before to come. It is open to everyone, and all the details are in my broadcast. Just a hot girl walk. It's all about making new friends in your 20s, getting outside your comfort zone, doing the scary shit. I've never hosted one before. That's another thing that I could say that I could not do it because I'm so scared, but equally, I know it's going to be so much fun. I already have so many girls messaging me how excited they are, and I'm so excited to see you all, get a coffee, go for a walk, and just like chit chat and just meet new people, because I am the common denominator to all my clients, and I know that so many of my clients would get along. Like, so many of them will have like similar jobs or similar interests, and I'm like, you would get along with you and you would get along with you, and I'm like the common denominator. So I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for everyone to come. So if you're listening to this in real time, the community walk is just a few days away, so definitely jump into the broadcast for the details on that. If you're needing that little bit of a sign to push yourself out of your comfort zone, getting ready for the 6-month mark of the year. Equally, if you're like, whoa, that sounds fucking scary, I'm not ready for that, I haven't gone for a walk forever, just a little thought, just a bit of a journal prompt, write down, if I keep doing what I'm doing right now, how will I feel in December? How am I feeling right now versus how did I set out to feel in January? I bet in January, when you were setting all your 2025 goals, you were like, I am going to be so fit. This is going to be my fittest, healthiest year. I'm going to book that dream holiday. I'm going to wear those tight, trendy clothes. I'm going to be doing the fucking damn thing. You watch it. Maybe you broke up with a partner and you like, revenge body. I'm getting on my shit. Maybe you had a really shit year at uni last year and you're like, I'm going to be top of my class this year at uni. Not really, but I'm going to do so much better. I'm going to, excel in this area because I've been doing bad in it, or insert the fucking thing, right? You told yourself that you're going to do those things. Maybe it's not going to plan, but think now, how will you feel in December if you achieve it? I talk about this a lot because I get obviously a lot of messages for coaching, and I'm like, well, at the end of the day, because sometimes a lot of people will be like, oh, like umming and ahhing on the fence. I fully get it. There can be hesitation, and a lot of it stems around past coaching experiences. A lot of girls have worked with a lot of bad PTs and had bad coaching experiences, and I completely understand that because I've had bad coaching experiences and investments myself. And I'm like, okay, well, it's just, how do you want to feel by the end of the year? Do you want to be in that same place right now, or do you want to be moving forward towards your goal, working towards the things? And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and she was like, I can keep trying to find different avenues and try another thing and waste so much money on those things, or I could actually invest in you. It's Lexi's world, we're just living in it. Anyway, she was like, or I could actually invest in you and know that I'm working towards my goals and move things forward. And it's actually so true. The longer you hold this stance of, it is too expensive for me to buy a gym membership, get some supplementation, eat a healthier diet, like work towards my goals, the longer you're going to get caught up in your shit. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you are going to concerts all the time, if you are going out for lunch and dinners and going out with the girls for drinks and things all the time, if you're going to musicals, plays, whatever all the time, that is great. Like, I'm so glad you're living your life, but equally, don't be inquiring for PT and then say, I can't afford it. You can afford it. You just are scared and you don't want to prioritize it. And if that is you, that is completely fine. But that is probably why you're in the place that you're in right now for this 6-year check-in. And, when we're reflecting on the last 6-month check-in, and while we're reflecting on the last 6 months, that's probably what's held you back. Equally, you could do both, but I talked about this recently. You're like gatekeeping your money. You're so scared to spend your money, and that's why you're in the exact same place. And you don't necessarily need to hire a coach. But I was talking to one of my girls the other day, and she was like, "Oh my god, I feel so shit today. I ate out so much over the weekend." And then I said, "Whoa!" And by the way, it wasn't a money thing, but I was like, "Whoa, you just spent over $150 on takeaway in like 3 days." And she was like, "I know, it's fucking insane." And then the next day, she went out. The next week I saw her. She went and got like sushi or something like that. She's like, oh, can you believe I spent $70 on sushi the other day? And I was like, that's fucking insane. But see how quickly it adds up. And like, again, it wasn't about money in the conversation, like about I can't afford coaching or anything like that. It was like, that is insane. And it is insane. And I said to her, why are you eating takeout anyway? Why are you eating takeout so often anyway? It makes you feel shit. It's not aligned with our goals to be eating it that often. And like, it's doing the opposite of what we want. So we're setting these goals at the start of the year, and then we're doing everything the opposite. And like, it's basically a disservice to ourselves of, this is my goal, but I want to become someone else. So like, what version of me do I want to become? How do I become that girl? And what's like a choice I can make today to stay on the track of that? So for example, as I said, coming to the walk, getting out for that walk, because I know how hard it is sometimes to go on a walk by yourself. Sometimes I literally, you guys know, I raw dog it. I go on a walk, no earphones, there's no footpath, so I have to be listening. And sometimes I'm just there with my thoughts and I think of 101 different things. And that can be so shit sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to be out there. I'm so honest with you guys. Sometimes I do not want to be on that fucking walk. When that 8th car in a row almost runs me down, I'm like, oh, this is it for me. Like, I'm so sick of it. But equally, when you go with a friend or you go in a group or whatever the thing is, you just walk and walk and walk in, and you can walk to the end of the world. I actually made the walk 6Ks, and I was like, people are going to probably freak out at that. Like 6Ks, that's a pretty far walk. In the same breath, it goes like that when you are walking with a group of people, and it's so fun and fresh. Anyway, so as I said, I was reflecting on things and I was like, I feel a little bit off. Has anyone else felt a little bit off recently? I think it stemmed on for about a month and a half for me. I don't know if it's the season change. I don't know if it's just like life changing. I don't know what's going on, but I've been feeling a little bit off, and life has been busy. And I think a lot of you will relate to this. Uni deadlines, work burnout, social events. I feel like there's been so much going on with all the public holidays like Easter, Mother's Day. I know Mother's Day is not a public holiday, but events, Anzac Day, all these things have been on recently. And it's like, whoa, like just so much is happening at once. And it's like, what fucking day is it again? And I just feel like that has made us kind of slip back into that autopilot. And that's what I was saying before. Like, nothing is necessarily bad, but I'm not actively working towards my goals either. I'm just kind of in autopilot and doing the same habits every day. And if you already have really rough habits right now that aren't really aligned with that goal, we're not going to get anywhere with that. I was speaking to a girl the other day, and she was like talking about what she was doing at the moment. And I said, what were your past nutrition habits like? And she was like, oh, not good. And she was almost like kind of embarrassed to tell me. And I was like, I'm asking simply because I know that when we come from that place, it's so easy to slip into those old patterns. So I want to know what your old patterns and habits are like, because as soon as something kind of might come up, autopilot, old patterns, old ways. So we want to like learn about those old ways and kind of like nip them in the bud, if that makes sense. So like when we set goals, we set them for hype. As I said, January 4th was the Monday this year. I don't know how many bitches started 75 hard on January 4th, and I get it. I get the hype. It's a new year, New Year's resolutions. It's a Monday. It was like right after the public holidays. It was like perfectly aligned. But equally, just because it's Jan 4th doesn't mean you need to start something, right? So a lot of people failed that and fell off track because they went from 0 to 100. They set these goals around hype, and they didn't actually figure out how it fit in their lifestyle first, and they didn't actively change any habits. So when I talk about this, and again, I'm going to go for the walking thing, don't go, apart from you're coming to my community walk, but don't go and set yourself like a 15,000 step goal if you've been getting 3,000 steps the last few months. Push a little bit, push to 6, max 8, like just go that little bit further, but don't go 0 to 100, because that's exactly why you burn out and you never stick to these things. And it's like, your brain is going to resist that change without the consistent and constant reminders day in, day out. That is why inside Toned and Trendy, I am on my girls. First of all, it's in the app. So the app every single day is like reminding everyone, like today you've got to do, you know, your steps, your water intake, your program, all of the things. But it's also like making sure that I am in there asking them, what's going on? What's been happening? What's happening today? What's new with you? What's happening outside of the designated check-in? Just as little reminders like, hey, I'm here, I'm watching, and not in like a way of I'm watching you, but like I'm watching, I see you, I hear you, all of the things. And I think the girls appreciate that a lot, because it just is that little reminder to keep going. And I went on a walk with one of my clients the other day, and she was like, that just flew by. We were just chatting the whole time. It didn't even feel like we walked 7.5 Ks. That was so good. And I just like enjoyed it so much, but I struggle so much to get outside and go for the walk myself or motivate myself and all of the things. And I felt so confident. She literally actually said to me, I never feel confident wearing, she was wearing like a Thai LSKD like cropped singlet, and like just like matching shorts. I think it was a set. I'm not sure. I didn't like fucking analyze her, but I think that's what she was wearing. And she was like, I would probably never I'd never have the confidence to wear this, but I wore it today because of you. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, because of me? And she's like, because like I feel confident coming on this walk with you. I feel confident with you. And I was like, I fucking love this. And I feel like it's like that reminder of like, that's why your goals are important, because shit can hit the fan, and shit was hitting the fan for her, and she still showed up. She still displayed confidence. She still had we had a great conversation, and it was just such good vibes. And it's like, okay, you need to be reminded every single day of why you're doing this thing. And that is why things aren't changing for you right now, because you're not top of mind thinking, I need to do this today, I need to do that today, 1% better, 1% better. And even recently, one of my girls, she was complaining because her boyfriend was losing a lot of weight and she was not. And I was like, first of all, I swear men can literally take a fucking shit and they lose like 2 kilos. That's first and foremost. Second of all, I was like, okay, let's plod along, let's do this, let's do that. I added something in for a week, saw what happened, kept that, then went and made changes again. And that is the whole point of what we do, how we do every single day, 1% better, slight changes here, slight changes there, nothing dramatic. And then she messaged me today and was like, I'm 400 grams down. And I was like, I am not surprised, because we have been working so hard. Sometimes it's not going to happen like that. And that's probably really why you've fallen off your goals this year so far, because you're like, oh my God, like it hasn't happened overnight. It's not. One of the biggest mantras I always said when I gained my 20 kilos and I was trying to lose it was, I didn't gain this 20 kilos overnight. This was months, years of bad habits that I need to spend now months, years undoing. And that's the problem with the all or nothing mindset, because it's like, new year, new me, I'm going to join 75 hard. I'm feeling like on a high right now. This is like, they're unsustainable highs, because we're just in our head hyping it up, which hype lasts a day. Hype will never, ever last. And I always say to my girls, what is a thing? First of all, I ask, check in, like, how long have you actually been consistent for? And then the response I almost always get is this is the most consistent I've ever been. And I'm like, this is insane, because we've only been at it for a couple months. But one of my girls, I was like, what's different between me, because you've had other PTs before? And she was like, my other PT would cancel all the time. And I was like, right? So you need someone that shows up for you and is a constant reminder for you, and you equally need to come back with that. And that's got nothing to do with hype. That's actually all in consistency, the systems you've set up, the habits you've built, the people you surround yourself with. And it's like, when this all comes crashing down because it's poorly prepared for, you won't invest your money because you're saying it's too expensive or whatever the fucking thing is, it comes crashing down. You then feel guilt, you then self-sabotage, and you're in the same cycle again and again. And that's the all or nothing mindset, and we need to fucking break that. I felt like this conversation is going in so many different directions. I hope you're keeping up with me. I feel like it's never one size fits all with why you're not kind of tracking along with your goals, because maybe you're not tracking along with your goals and they're like saving goals and you've just been so shit at saving. But this conversation is really going down like the mindset path of it all, because it's like, it's the new year, new me, setting ridiculous goals. But you don't need to set ridiculous goals for the new year. You need to set yourself a new standard. You need to hold yourself at a higher standard than you did in the previous year. But you can't just write that on paper and manifest it. You can't just be like, I'm going to lose 10 kilos this year. You need to actually have actionable steps. And that's why for me, I have wanted things before. I've wanted to achieve things before. I wanted to lose the 20 kilos. I wanted to do things. And I spent so long guessing. And that's the whole point of what I do. I take the guesswork out of it for you, so you don't spend every day feeling overwhelmed and guessing what the fuck you're trying to do to lose the weight. You actually know what you need to do. So that takes me into the mid-year reset. We're resetting. We're not restarting, but we're resetting our goals. We're resetting where we're at, and we're coming back into, where were we January 4th when we were writing these goals? What was our mindset like? How are we feeling? How were things moving for us? Like, what was all of the things about that? I want you to reconnect with why you actually made that goal at the start of the year. And for example, for me, as I said, I had brought some goals over from the previous year. I set in 2024 that I wanted to start the podcast. I started doing it in like January 2025. So you can bring things across, right? And you could be actively working on them. Or maybe you just set the most rogue things ever. Like for me, I was like, okay, I'm taking risks, I'm traveling, I'm this, I'm that. Again, I kind of brought them across, but this year I was like, I'm fucking sending it. I'm going all in. So what was your goal about, and what was the feeling at the top of your mind when you actually set that goal in January? I want you to step back into that frame of mind for a minute and think, where was I at? What was I thinking? What was it surrounded by? Because for me as well, I know that at that time of year, there's a lot of social events on. You see a lot of family make comments, sometimes not the nicest comments, about your body, about your skin, about anything. And then you can kind of go into the new year thinking, oh my God, like grandma said that I looked kind of tubby. Fucking grandpa said that my skin looked really red and angry. I need to change everything. I need to change my skincare routine. I need to change my diet. I need to start training. I need to do whoa, I'm overwhelmed trying to list them all. No wonder you're feeling fucking overwhelmed. First of all, you're letting other people project on you. But second of all, you're letting your emotions run your goals. And I want you to just sit with yourself right now. Where are you with your goals? Be so fucking brutally honest. Even if you need to pause this right now and go write it down on a piece of paper, I want to know where you're at with your goals that you set in 2025, January 4th, probably January 4th, not January 1st because of the public holidays. I know you, bitch. I'm inside your head. We all were there. We all were like, I'm not doing it January 1st on a rent. I think it was Thursday. Like, who the fuck thought of that? Anyway, so then January 4th was the Monday. So when you sat down with it all, were you coming off the back end of a hangover? Were you coming off the back end of really toxic family events? What actually fueled your fire to set these goals? I want you to think on that. Okay, so now you have figured out where you're at in that mindset with those goals. I want you to lean into where you're lacking right now. And is it because potentially at the start of the year, you're in a different job, so you set these goals around that job and how much time you had, and now that's changed? Or maybe you were single at the start of the year and now you have a partner and you are very busy between trying to keep up with your social life and your partner. It's really fresh. It's in the honeymoon phase. You're meeting family. There's like not a lot of time for your goals anymore, okay? So I want you to think on what's actually changed. And now think about what you're actually able and capable of doing. So back to the steps thing, for example. If you had that goal at 10,000 steps and you've only been hitting 3, I want you to think, okay, I can only really hit probably 6 right now. I'm going to push myself to hopefully get a bit more than 6, but probably 6, right? Be really honest with yourself, because setting these really high goals is doing nothing but setting yourself up for failure. That's how you're going to put that into play. Now, I want you to rewire yourself. Rewire future you. How does she show up? Where is the future you energy? Because you haven't been showing up with that energy. And as I said before, I know I haven't, not every single day. I haven't been embodying my goals as much as I was. And it's okay and completely normal to kind of fall off track a bit and not have them at the forefront of your mind, but you need to come back to her. So visualize her. Who is that girl? I talk about this a lot with weight loss. When I talk about that girl with weight loss, for example, it's like the girl who radiates confidence, looks fucking 10 out of 10 in her outfit. She's wearing that tight, trendy outfit that's like, those outfits that are like trending at Glassons and everyone's wearing it. She's wearing it. She looks fucking snatched. Her bum looks amazing. Like, that's what I mean. But in this energy, right? That's future you with weight loss, or future you with your goals. But that is a weight loss example, right? So it's not about starting again. It's about showing up for where you're at and where you fell off. Future you, she might fall off track, right? But what will future you do? She won't let it happen. She'll fall off track a little bit and then realize, actually, I need to readjust my goals. Actually, I just need to take a little breath and see where I'm at. What's changed? Right? See that mindset flip and switch of where instead of falling off track, we're going to look at it and readjust it and change it to make it suit where we're at in life. As I said, a boyfriend might pop up. Doesn't mean we have to let go of our goals, but maybe we just need to do little tweaks, like I said with the check-in before, and make some little changes to show up in a different capacity. Because the only thing right now standing between you and success is you. The only thing standing in the way, it's you. You're stopping yourself because you won't make that decision. You won't go all in on the next thing, right? So I know that it seems very like simple, but it's not. So I bet there's so much like kind of going on in your brain right now. I want you to write down everything that's changed since January. 6 months ago, you had these goals, you were feeling these emotions, you had all of these things on your mind. What's actually changed since then for you in your lifestyle? From that, where are you going all or nothing? I'd have a lot of conversations with a lot of girls. It's always going from no sessions, not going into the gym, borderline putting your membership on hold because you're never showing up, to them wanting to go 6 days a week, which leads to burnout. You're already feeling burnt out with your job. You're already feeling shitty with your friendships. How can we take control of the narrative? One of my clients said to me yesterday, I wish I started earlier. This is the best investment I've ever made. I wish I started earlier. I said to her, like, oh my gosh, I love this, obviously. In my head, I thought, she has been messaging me since August last year. I actually think she inquired again before that. And then our last conversation was August, and then she ghosted me. And then she messaged me probably a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, saying, okay, I'm all in. Our last conversation was August. That's how long she sat on the fence for. And now she's living in regrets of not signing up. And I think it's so funny because if you're looking for a sign to take the plunge into the thing, it doesn't have to be coaching. It doesn't even have to have anything to do with me. Take that as a sign. The only thing standing in the way is you. The only thing holding you back is you. And it's like, get off the fence, do the damn thing. At the bare minimum, actually, rate the podcast 5 stars. If you're going to do something right now, rate the podcast 5 stars. We're trying to grow over here. But it's like the future you that you want in December, the future you that you set in January starts today. I don't care if you're listening to this at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday. I don't care if you're listening to this at 9 a.m. on a Saturday. I want you to go and do something today for you. Clean up your space. Oh my God. You know why that's my example? This chair, love her. She's gorgeous, isn't she? She's my junk chair. I fucking chuck shit on her all the time. Not junk, like my clothes, because it's like winter lately, right? So I'll do training clothes, session clothes, pajamas. I'm chucking everything on her. Then to film, I just chucked everything on the ground. And I was like, after I film this episode, I'm fucking cleaning up my life. I'm closing loops in business. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Like, get it together, girlfriend. Get it together. Because if you have a messy space, you have a messy mind, right? That's why everything felt, I think, have we cracked the code? I think that's why I've been feeling like up, down in the last like month or two. Because just things are a little bit messy. I say I have no time, not for my goals, funnily enough, obviously, because I have been, training every day. I've been doing my steps. I've been doing my cardio. I've been on my nutrition. I've been eating really whole foods and clean and really like trying to nurture my body and get back into that space of feeling really great in my body again. And it was hard to adjust with my new schedule and all of the things, so much changing in my business. But in the same breath, I think the reason things were feeling messy was because I was saying I didn't have time to clean up my space. For example, we were renovating the ensuite, and then I still haven't moved my stuff in there. So I've just had all my like hair products, like makeup products, like perfume, whatever the fuck, all over like my vanity. And now my vanity looks like a hot mess. And I'm like, am I fucking okay? Like I literally was thinking before I started this episode, I'm gonna fucking move my stuff into the bathroom. Why have I not done that yet? And then I said, oh, well, I haven't had time. Yes, I have. I have had time. I've just chosen not to prioritize it, right? And this goes into the coaching sense. So just because I'm a coach doesn't mean I don't have those same issues. That's why I completely understand. But for me, I don't have those issues with training, nutrition, all weight loss, all of the things. Mine stems out into the fucking areas of like, I went and bought all these outfits for the retreat before I was supposed to go, which now is fucking redundant because I'm going in fucking winter anyway. But they still have tags on them. And they've just been sitting on this chair rent-free. They're not paying rent. They're just sitting here rent-free. So it's like, where can we clean up the loop? So I literally said to myself, after I film this episode, I am cleaning up every single clothing item, de-tagging, doing all of the things. And I was like, oh, do I have enough time? Shut up. It does not take that long. You know what? The other day I challenged myself. I said, I'm going to put a timer on and see how much I can get done, and then not use my phone, not touch anything. I'm just going to put a timer on, take it away, and I would ideally like to be done by X time to get a walk in, but I'm not going to time check because I find time checking stresses me out unnecessarily. I've only started noticing that about me this year. So that's something new I've been noticing as well, is when I check the time, I'm like, oh, it's lunchtime. Oh, I've got only X amount of hours till this. And I was like, this is so stupid. Anyway, I timed it and then I was done. I almost forgot to check the time. Thank God I left it on my phone, and I had been doing it for like 55 minutes, and I was like, oh, I don't know why I convinced myself doing that task was going to take so much longer than it did. I convinced myself that I normally spend so much more time on that task than I do, and equally some things were different, that it wasn't going to take as long as usual. But it's like, where are you holding yourself back by telling yourself and convincing yourself you can't do it, you don't have time to do it, all of the things? On that note, if you're ready to stop falling off track, you're done with being in the same cycle, telling yourself you don't have time, you can't commit, it's too expensive, whatever the fucking thing is, I have some spaces for Toned and Trendy. So if you're wanting to come in for online coaching, I see you, send me a message, say you came from the podcast. I just want to have a conversation. It doesn't mean you have to sign up. It doesn't mean, sometimes the power of having a conversation is actually 10 out of 10. And I always say my DM's always open. I will literally send you a voice message because I'm just there to have a yap at the same time. Whoa, because I know what it's like to not feel like you have any support in your fitness journey. So I know that the last 6 months might not have gone to plan, but let's make the next 6 months different. Coaching is where it's at. the accountability, the support, the one-on-one, everything in there, because I know you want to be 5 to 10 kilos down by December. So let's make it happen. I will see you in my DMs, and hopefully I will see you at the community walk on the weekend. I am so fucking excited to see you there. Just come for yaps, chats, and of course, hot girl walkie steps. I will talk to you all so soon. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Mwah. That's a wrap on another episode of Navigating Your 20s. Thank you so much for joining me and taking the time to listen. If you enjoyed the conversation, vibes, and got something out of today, please feel free to send me a DM with any key takeaways and feedback, or share on your socials and tag me so we can connect. If you liked today's episode and you're wanting more from me, you can find me on all socials at success.withjess.